course, nobody cares if these protests happen. But as I think, Abhijit, I want to bring you in. We were talking about some of these Twitter handles, for example, yesterday. A lot of these people cannot achieve much on ground in India. But what their attempt is to show that we've given the Indians a bloody nose. What they managed to do on Sunday was basically that attempt, right? That we managed to snatch the Indian tricolour, we managed to break windows. It is thuggery at its best. It is just for show. But at least as far as that is concerned, we've put our foot down.
Absolutely. So see, this is a marketing stunt. But see, there's a whole economy around this. Remember, a lot of the diaspora who migrated to all these places migrated at the height of the Punjab insurgency, right? And they find out at that time when they migrated that they were at the lowest rungs of society. They created a sort of, because, criminality is fungible. They would very easily, poverty leads to criminality. They very easily got into a lot of criminal enterprises. Extortion became one other thing. So one of the questions you asked Ramneek Man, I speak to so many Canadian Sikhs who fear for their lives if they come out and say what they actually want to say. Many of these people don't even want to be out on the streets. You remember, Shivani, I told you how I was affected by this personally in Melbourne by the LTTE at that time. At that time, the LTTE hadn't been crushed. But, I also lived in that environment of fear. So I know where a lot of these people are coming from. The problem, what happens in the Canada and the UK is the police turn a blind eye to all of this under the garb of, ethnic relations and racism and all of that. So they have nowhere to go to express their thing. And mind you, you can file a police complaint once, but the police isn't going to permanently allocate a cop to protect you. What happens then? They can't allocate a cop to permanently protect somebody. And these guys get away very easily in the court system. So what do you end up doing? There is a point here to be made, unfortunately, that the diaspora protest yesterday against these Khalistani protests was trivialized. What was the need to bring a Bollywood dancer? This is a very serious issue, It's not a Desi country mela or something like that. It's not Surajkund Arts and Crafts mela. And everything Indian does not have to have a Bollywood component here. I think we really do need to take it seriously. We gave the London police, a way out where one of their jokers comes and dances with one of the protesters. And somehow this is meant to be, we've covered race relations. No, you have not covered race relations. This is not a place where you get off. And I'm glad that finally there is a barrier set up outside the High Commission now, finally, only after we took action. Also, Shivani, if you'll just give me 10 more seconds. This belief that Rishi Sunak is going to help us is absolutely wrong. He's a social climbing yuppie who is only catering to his audience in the UK. Right? Remember, during the Leicester riots against Hindus, which we now know, despite all the misinformation that was spread, where the Hindus were victimized even though they were blamed, he did not open his mouth. Even on this incident, he has not opened his mouth. In fact, him being a practicing Hindu actually places a constraint on him in being able to do things.
Yes, proactively.
Right?
Yes.
On the other hand, he talks about grooming gangs. Why? Because grooming gangs is a right-wing talking point in London. So he will talk about that. But he will never talk about Hindus, period. In fact, I would say Boris Johnson and some white prime minister is probably much more likely to help out Hindus in this case than Rishi Sunak is.
Talking about what India can do to put a little bit of pressure on foreign governments, especially in the wake of the attack that happened in London. Today we get news that a little bit of security detailing has been cut as far as the UK envoy in the national capital is concerned and the UK embassy. This is almost exactly what you were referring to. What do you make of this move?
That's right, Shivani. If you remember, I told you we need to remove the security barricades and the no parking zones around the embassy out there. This isn't my recommendation technically, because remember, this is what we did when that entire Devyani Khobragade episode happened in New York. And we responded to it by removing all these illegal barricades and barriers that the Americans had put up on, the two roads that cut through the two public roads that cut through their three compounds that they have one behind the other in Delhi. Now, this kind of shows you how important it is that we don't just talk, but we back it up immediately with action. We have taken action against the UK, but where is the action against the Americans? Remember, the San Francisco consulate was also attacked.
Yes.
And all those barricades and everything that were removed when Devyani Khobragade was arrested illegally have all been, accorded back to the Americans right now. right? There is a whole list of things I can go on. CD cars, the blue plate diplomatic cars, they don't have to pay road tax, toll tax, anything like that. They go straight to the VIP area of the airport, and they get all that special treatment and all of that. Our diplomats don't get that treatment in most countries around the world. Indian diplomats have to pay road tax, toll tax everywhere. Indian diplomats have to pay full price for their compounds and things like that, and rent and things like that everywhere. Why do we make these exceptions for foreign diplomats in this country
That's
when
a
we
colonial
don't give
hangover,
them?
isn't it? It's a colonial hangover. It will go eventually.
It's not a colonial hangover, because we give it to all diplomats, and there's this inferiority complex driven need for foreign validation, that somehow if you have a blue car plate, you are somehow a VIP who deserves extra special treatment. It's this whole feeding into VIP culture and our inferiority complex.
Yeah.